Okay, last project video you saw on this bike, we went over the basics of where to begin. We went over the game plan of what I want to accomplish, and we also went over the process of how to accomplish it. We went over the tracking markers, the 3D scanning, and then some of the design elements. It wasn't a how-to of how to model a bike or anything, but it showed what I was going for. And in a nutshell, I wanted to take my original 0304 plastics. I wanted to redesign them inspired by the S1000RR BMW plastics, add a few design elements back in from the 0304 to help with distributing heat and things like that. And then in the end, I also modified the plastics of the S1000RR, removing some of the things I don't need, as well as adding the wing blades from a Ducati that I wanted. And then last but not least, making sure it's all fitting my stump bike needs. So that's the crash cage, that's the upper stay for the cluster, as well as where my feet are gonna go, where the wheelies are, things like that. So that plastic was designed for my bike. I'm not creating race plastics, I'm creating brand new plastics for my stump bike. Now in this video, we're going to bring it to life. This is going to be the 3D printing stage. Now we're going to go over the 3D printers that I use, and I'll also throw in information about the filament. So these are the 4 printers that I use for this whole project. I have 2 P1Ss, 1 X1C, and 1 H2S. Now, these printers are fantastic. I think these are like 400 bucks, something like that right now. I don't remember how much I paid for this one, but it was definitely around 1200 plus. So this is a lot more expensive than this. They will all do the job. It's just a matter of how big or how small you want your pieces to be. The smaller you make them, the more room for error in case something screws up, faster to reprint it, versus something screwing up on this one, you gotta print a lot longer, a lot more of a oopsie, if you will. Now for the filament. I use AliExpress filament. It's a King Rune, something like that. Let me take a quick look right here. So this company, King Rune, it's like $7 a roll. PETG, very affordable. I buy and bought the boxes of 10, and those are the ones I buy. And now the last segment is the tools and hardware, and this is what we're gonna be using. So this is a kit you could buy off Amazon. I'll include the link in my YouTube video description. This is actually made for plastic. I used it to repair the headlight on my Subaru WRX. It worked amazing. It comes with the soldering iron that's designed for it, a few tips for it, different rods for different plastics, and then this little mesh. This works very well to reinforce your welded areas. So I use this on 3D prints. I use it on the real plastic repair. This thing is fantastic. Next is a soldering iron. I actually bought this one. It's a little different than this one. This one, again, this was designed for plastic. This one's not. This is more or less for wires. But the cool thing about this one is that you can control the temperature and you could replace the tips. Now, the reason why that's important, one of the tips that I want to use is the tip from this kit that I bought, again, from Amazon. And it's a tip so you could do the heat thread inserts. So that's the tip that I use on this tool, or with this tool, so I could put in all the heat threads. That's the reason behind me sharing this. And then after that, there's a few things that I'm using. I'm using M5 screws for hardware. I'm using M5 Wellnuts for connecting the fairings together. And on a few of the areas, I'm using M5 heat threads, and that's for the wing blades, as well as 2 front areas on the fairing. So all this, again, Amazon, I'll include the links to all this stuff in case anyone else is interested. For my needs and my motorcycle build, M5 is the sweet spot. It's not too big, it's not too small. I figured I would show a little work in progress and my methods. So because I'm designing everything from scratch, fitment is key. And while I trust the 3D scanner, it's kind of a trust but verify type of logic. So here is a test print I did of the first area. And all I want to focus on are the mounting points. But of course, I want it to be one piece so that way I know things are flowing and working and aligning. So this is what it's looking like right now. And honestly, the fitment's fantastic. Everything fits. But the good thing about doing test prints like this is you can see certain things before you commit to final. So my radiator hose right here, For those that don't know about motorcycles too much, this is the coolant line and it runs really, really hot when the bike is running hot. So because for this fender, I am gonna just try to 3D print it only. Even though I'm gonna do the fiberglass, I wanna see what I can do to, you know, increase my odds of success. So I am gonna reinforce these things with fiberglass, but look at how tight this gets to the hose. So what I think I'm gonna do is go back to the design and just offset it just a little bit, maybe like 5 millimeters, just to give me a little bit more clearance from this hose. It's just a little too tight for my liking.
So here I just kind of broke up the headlight in segments. This is to fit my H2S printer, but I will be also utilizing my P1P and X1C, which are all the same print bed volume. So these segments right here will be used on those printers, but these massive ones are going to be used on the H2S, which is an amazing thing, as you can see. Here's the hiccup. I could go ahead and take a risk and print this whole thing and depend on supports, and hopefully this element right here that kind of hangs over will be okay. I could take that risk. I don't want to take that risk, however, and this is where it's a matter of opinion and however the user wants to do it. I personally feel a lot more comfortable slicing my models, let's say something like this, and I'm gonna put in 150 millimeters, and that's where I'm gonna slice it. This way I have a smaller part, so less wiggle, less wobble up top, and if something does screw up, it's a lot less of a redo. So I'm gonna go ahead and slice it like this, just like that, and then go to this one because I like the idea of it all being symmetrical. Type in 150, and this is where these segments are nice to keep in mind of how you cut it up. So what we're gonna do here is just create 2 more print beds, and one's there and one is there. So now what would happen is, if let's say hypothetically speaking I'm printing and there's an issue, I could catch it right away and reprint. And if I need to, I could align it on a different segment to see what will be the best for the results. So just figured I would share that little rundown. And then as far as the whole slicing goes, I just slice everything in Bambu when it comes to these types of projects. When I make my molds, I actually cut it up in the native software, which is 3D Studio Max for me. However, for this, Bambu works amazing because I'm not using any pins or dowels or whatever. I'm just going right at it, and then I'm gonna hot weld it together in one piece to the best of my ability. So this is in a nutshell how it's looking right now. And then I'm gonna save it. And then as you can see, if I go into like my P1S, in theory, most of these fit that print volume as well. So there we go. The only thing that don't fit are the 2 massive pieces, which is okay because that's what I expected. So now I could use all of my printers and get this thing going. So next step is to hit print and watch it.
All right, so now that the top assembly is done printing, it's time to assemble it and make it one item. So in short, what I have here is, I believe this is 180 grit, maybe 80 grit sandpaper. And before I start connecting anything, what I like to do is go in and everywhere that I know it's a flat area, I like to sand it just to make sure it's gonna be flat. So whenever I slice and I print, let's say at an angle, sometimes other flat areas are not flat or not as flat as they should be. So this just ensures that it is flat. So that's the first thing I do. When I'm trying to connect these parts, my goal is to make these lines as clean as possible, as minimal gap possible, and you know, it's not gonna be perfect, but That's the goal. Because we're melting plastic, it's only going to be as good as it could get. And you know, we try to minimize the distortion and offsets as much as possible. So here I have these clamped up and they're pretty tight and pretty straight. And what I'm gonna do now is take the soldering iron and just go in on the back side and just a few love taps just to get the plastic to kind of fuse and stay put, so that way I can start moving it around. This area is holding loose, but it's holding, and this area is holding. So now all I want to do is go into the middle and create a connection point there, so that way we have a base to start fusing. Okay, so as you can see, just a few love taps, a few spot welds, but now it's holding true. And now what I'm going to do is a little bit here, and then that should take care of this part having a nice foundation. So again, just going in, it feels solid to the touch. Okay, and we are done. After quite a bit of time with the welding tool, we are complete. We have our front end assembly done, hardware on the back side, everything is good for the moment. So this thing is looking great. Then we have our brake side fairing. Overall, very nice. Very minimal seam gaps, a little bit here, a little bit there, but overall, every crevice and panel fit aligned very nicely. So very happy to see that. So there's that side. And then last but not least is the clutch side. Same exact situation. Everything fit very nicely, very minimal seam gaps. There's a little bit of something here, which again, with the body filler and post work, everything will be fixed, but overall, it's looking awesome. So the next step is to assemble it. So I have more of these Wellnuts coming in tomorrow. So we're gonna use some different Wellnuts on the bottom and the top, but for the moment, I'm excited to see how it looks. So I am gonna assemble this and we'll see how this thing looks. Okay, so now what I was doing here, and this was the whole point of everything when I designed it, is all these holes are made to use my Wellnuts. So there's a bunch of them right here, and all I have to do is literally just pop them in, just like that. All the Wellnuts are in, and now we're just gonna use this hardware to assemble it. And here it is. My Kawasaki BMW S1000RR fairing. This thing is a beast. Let me see if I could even lift it. Yep. So, there she is. from 3D concept to a physical print. Next step is to get it test fitted on the bike. And after that, start putting fiberglass in on the inside to reinforce it also. It doesn't fall apart. All right, time to finish assembling some of these bits so I could get these fairings on that bike. Here's the situation. My radiator right now, not really hooked up. It's just kind of hanging there. All my triple trees, all that stuff is kind of loosey-goosey. Calipers just floating. So before I could get the fairings on the bike, I gotta get some of the basics on the bike. So I gotta get the forks on so that way the bike stand could get adjusted to hold the bike up, because due to this element right here, the fairing will not install. So, got to get that on, got to get the radiator hooked up because these are the mounting points for the side fairings. And that will allow me to start kind of positioning the fairings onto the bike. Here's the deal too. Next steps after the fitment is obviously post-working the fairings. So they got to come right back off. And then the other thing is, I got to replace the bearings in the steering stem, so those are coming in the mail. And I still got to figure out where the oil leak is coming from. So I'm going to be riding the bike with no fairings on around town to really try to see where the oil is coming from. I have no idea. So it's got a little bit of wear and tear to fix up, but we are going to get these plastics on the bike and see how the fitment is right now. So that is the game plan for the moment, is I want to see how the thing looks. I did all the work. I want to see how it looks. So that's going to finish up hopefully this chapter of the project video, and that's getting the plastics on the bike, getting some little B-roll footage of how it looks like as a whole. I'll probably get the wheel on just so I could take it and roll it around, but then it's got to come all back off again. So little status update. Now I'm just going to do a time lapse of me getting all this stuff done, and we'll go from there. So here are the key elements that I needed to make sure we're aligning properly. We have this point and this point. Hard work came out perfect, zero issues. We have two screws over here. It's probably hard to see on the video, but one's over there. Let me try to get a better angle. Yep, and same thing on the other side. Yep, there they are. And they align perfectly. Then we have the three master things on every side. We have this one, and this one. All three bolted up perfectly fine. I got to 3D print a washer of my own. This one's a little loose, but that's the only thing about that. Like, that was the whole point. And I'm gonna 3D print a washer here. So these are fantastic. Then we come around to the other side. And same exact thing. This one I'm actually using the washer from the bike. So this is, as you can see, this is perfect. No wobble, nothing. So that lined up. Radiator one, also lined up. There's no washer right now, so I gotta get that made. And then the kickstand area, also perfectly lined up. All of my well nuts, all still lining up. So the fitment on this, in my opinion, it's damn near perfect. Nothing's ever perfect, but considering we 3D printed this, hot glued it all together, or plastic welded, whatever you want to call it, and we have a part that actually lines up from all these organic elements, this is exciting. So moving forward, this all has to come off the bike. And then besides doing some maintenance on the bike, I'm gonna start post-processing the plastic. So the first thing is gonna be reinforcing the whole backside with fiberglass. And then once that's solid and not shaky or wobbly anymore, I can start working on the hero surface of that. These are gonna be skinned in carbon fiber. So we'll see how that comes out. And once all that's done, it's gonna be painted red to match my gas tank and the tail fairing. And then I did design new stickers for the gas tank that's gonna say Kawasaki S1000RR. So I'm excited to print or vinyl plot cut those, put them on. So in a nutshell, the foundation of the build is done. Now slowly to take it to final, then I'll clean the wheels, all the other stuff. These finally came in today, so I gotta change my steering stem bearings because I get a death wobble from just them being bad and old. So overall, little things here, little things there, but the foundation's done and I could not be happier.